Hey, how's it going? It's been a while. I got my own journey to go through. It's like, I got my own shit to go through. It's been an interesting growth experience, and there's so much more kind of coming through. So at this point, I'm like, there's no perfection, there's no ideal state. It's always growth, always evolution. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, let whatever comes true, and it's all part of this game. And it kind of goes with this current video, the idea and understanding of discernment. Okay, discernment, what do I mean by that? Look, never ever 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 take one source of information as the golden nugget. I couldn't care less if it's a religion or any kind of one source of spirituality, or if it's one social source. So all of you still believing in governments, like, never ever 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 stick to one source. All right, not even me as a one source. I always say, grain of salt, have your own experiences, connect the dots, look at multiple sources and connecting the dots. Now, why does this mentality kind of still get propagated? The aspect of this one source, whether it's one news station or so, again, social sources, the one news station, that one cluster, all right? Well, my theory on this is the aspect of school system. Again, I call it the indoctrination station, the mental meat grinder, all that good stuff. Mostly because from the sheer amount of years of repetition, the number of days, the number of hours of repetition of that kind of systematic breakdown of our minds. Well, eventually the subconscious kind of sees it as normal to ingest information in that very limited format. Meaning, look at elementary school. Up to high school, you are being fed information, and then you are being graded based on your retention of that information. Now, this is being given one context or one side. At times it might not even have context or the depth of context that would help you grow. It is basically, here's the information that I give you, you'd better get this or your life is on the line, your career, the rest of your human development in this system is on the line. Think about how much pressure that is, okay? This ain't fucking joke, all right? Consider the amount of times that you had to repeat this, you could say, illogical method of exploring life. Because it is, in a way, exploring life. Now, I'm not blaming those who are part of that system. I'm just saying that it is a very illogical momentum compared to, have you forgotten we're getting up to 8 billions on this planet? That's a lot. That's a lot of perspective. That's a lot of point of views. That's a lot of different methodologies. That's a lot of different nuances and details of exploration of life. So, from that grade school to high school, or including high school, you're following this one and done method. You'd better answer that right answer, or else your life is done. Your life is in my hands. You don't get the grade if I don't say that you get it. Not to that extreme, but still, to the mind that wants to get that grade and doesn't want to get the psychological pressure from the parents or physical pressure, depending on, which hashtag Caribbean parents, which kind of nationality you're kind of dealing with, because there are still parents that will have physical abuse on their kids if they don't get the grade. That's kind of fucked up, but hey, this habit is being dismantled as we are having more and more openness of conversations, and the prior generation kind of going, whoa, that's kind of fucked up. I ain't gonna do that to my kids, cause fuck that when I felt it. Evolution's happening, but still, those who are still having to face that, it's a lot of pressure to then fit that meat grinder of a mold of illogical nature when it comes to learning and intaking data. So after a while, then you get to college, and it's, you get a semblance of freedom. You get a semblance of this discernment of discernment of information. Meaning, oh yeah, you're gonna do some research here and there in this pocket bubble of information. So when it comes to psychology, you're gonna look at the Freud, you're gonna look at the Jung, you're gonna look at look at this Western bubble. What about the East? Don't look at the East. Whatever, that's too out there. Hairy-fairy, It's not part of the curriculum, which is a very small segmented aspect of information for you to be graded upon. Again, more and more of that mental pressure, that mental meat grinding versus, and this is where you're going to start getting into going ultra instinct with your discernment process. Meaning, again, 8 billion on this world. Oh, we're getting to 8 billion. 7.5 billion. Sure, why not? But I'm still going, 8 billions. We're in. Look up information. You're not graded, okay? Let's just keep it real here. Fuck this grading process. Let's say you're looking up information for your own benefit of your lifestyle, for your own health, okay? Your objective is getting better health, feeling better, okay? Whether it's physical health or mental health, okay? This is your objective. Will you only look at a small pocket bubble of information, or are you just gonna go all out, intake as many as you can, connect the dots, do your own experiments to then get your results that are attuned to you, not someone else's, not celebrity ABC, not teacher ABC's results, that their person. No. What works with you, and then keep going from that momentum. See, it's quite logical when you just sit down with it and stop the mindless repetition that you've been led to when it comes to the indoctrination station. Again, no offense to the teachers, you don't know what you don't know, and oftentimes we're kind of brought into a system like that without necessarily having eyes on the nuances that it creates on the students. Again, you're dealing with 30 people at the same time. Noticing personal development at a deeper level is the hardest thing for oneself. One, especially when you're not taught that, and then two, for 30 people. Geez, society is expecting a bit too much of you. But we still got to bring the smack down on that systematic grinding of our mentality as a collective, because we're reaching a critical point where we're noticing the inconsistencies, and we're also noticing how it just leads people into more mental illnesses, more depressions, and more surface level thinking, which is just not necessarily helping us. When it comes to surface level thinking, don't worry about this. School is not the only reason for it. I mean, it's as if we are dealing with a wave of that. We've had parents that were indoctrinated the same way, and even worse, because hell, they had these things when it came to school. When the nuns, they didn't like your answer, they would just beat you with a fucking ruler. And well, geez, that's not necessarily something that's kind of kosher at all. Not kosher at all. Still, that then gets passed on to the current generation, or to the next generation, which will then consider those behavioral habits not necessarily normal, but after a while of having this, just like Pavlov's dog, or any animal, eventually kind of going, okay, well, I want to evade the pain, so I'm just gonna go with your take. Or some just kind of rebel and fuck off, you can understand why there are still those living in the street, because they're like, okay, well, fuck this thing. Naturally, and again, when you come into this life, you have a natural guidance system. It's just we're not necessarily fully explained about this. And there are times where instead of trying to find a middle ground, we would just kind of decide to exit this societal aspect. And there are those who will just straight up exit life in general. It's unfortunate. It fucking sucks. And this is what we're trying to change with such discussions and analytical breakdown of these systems. Because, well, they ain't fucking working. Now, so when it comes to the aspect of discernment, it's quite easy. Also, another key detail, along with the factor of, you just basically with your cell phone having more fucking power than the Pharaoh, so being able to collect data and then make your own discernment and your own exercises or your own tests to then write your own results and then go from that. Another key thing that's important is remembering that there is no failure. Yeah, there ain't no failure. Why? Oh, right. This is where you got to branch off from the school mentality. And this is where, again, I made a video on TikTok about the dark side of repetition. It's because the brain kind of anchors an aspect or the flawed idea of failure. Now, press and replay that tape about how we learn how to walk. That's right. We did not know the concept of failure. We tried, fell, readjusted, tried, fell, readjusted until we fucking got it. Same kind of goes with riding a bike. But then we start entering the school system where there is such a thing as failure. Now, wait, what's the disconnection between those two? Meaning, when we were babies or even mere toddlers, we just tried it until we got it. Right? We weren't stopped and then said, all right, I am going to give you a grade on your performance, comparing you to 30 other people that have different contexts, different life, different preferences, different details of life, different growth preferences, different learning preferences, and I'll make you feel bad for that, as well as triggering your parents' responses for more pressure. And, well, if you want to try to walk again, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks, and then I'll give you another grade. Fuck that. Just fucking do it again. So what was wrong with that? Okay, this. Okay, cool. I'm going to change the paper. That's it. That's all. Right? This is the difference between data learning and experience learning. When you're data learning based on the given data and expected result, you will be graded. But that's not real learning, per se. Meaning, in life, you're not necessarily always going to have a person that's going to grade you based on the data that you took in. Here's the funny thing. Once you go out on the workplace, you're going to have a training. Could be a week, could be 2 days. All right? But then you're out on the floor. You're out on the field. You're out doing what you were trained for. You are going to encounter different situations than the basic surface level situations that you were shown, which is the limitation of training, of course. You're going to adapt. And you're going to have to kind of be in a state to understand that, oh, yeah, new situation. Cool. I haven't necessarily faced that before. Okay, what are the various nuances in this situation? What are the various data? What are the different states in this situation? What are the different, I guess, perspective and POVs, point of views in this in this situation, there's no failure. You're going to get a result. And then from that result, you're going to readjust. Because you're going to be like, oh, okay. cool. I've encountered this. I've got XP. You got the XP. It's just like a video game. You get into a situation, all right, brand new world. You get into a situation, and yeah, you're going to take some hits. You're going to have some damages. And you might even hit the game over screen. But that's not failure. That's just data. And yes, on top of the indoctrination station, video games kind of negatively, half and half. Again, everything's a double-edged sword. That's not to say that the indoctrination station, the school, is completely false and crap and full of shit. Of course not. It is a base, even though it's flawed and needs major readjustments, it is still a base to have multiple perspectives and point of views and data collection, of course. Yet you don't necessarily need the pressure, the mental pressure or the physical pressure, depending on the home. # Caribbean parents. I'm really, really pushing for that change in the community. So, but you don't need the pressure. Nor do you need this whole concept of failure. All right? You're going to learn, you're going to get data. You wouldn't even need the game over screen. All right? When it comes to video games, some people take pride in that aspect. I get you. It's just that subconsciously you don't want to keep that mindset in a way. There's ways to balance it. There's ways to optimize it. All right? You're always going to grow. You're always going to get better. You're always going to discover new patterns. You're always going to discover shortcuts. You're always going to discover optimization. All right? You're always going to discover combinations of various things that you can sync up. All right? You kind of have to understand and really come to terms with the unlimitedness of your growth. Your nature, and this is pushing it a bit further, but now we're getting into metaphysics, spirituality, but you have to get the fact that your nature is unlimited growth, unlimited learning, unlimited expansion. All right? Just cautiously get the fact that each and every day, with anything that you do, which could even include walking, you're getting better at it. You're learning new stuff. Whether you are consciously aware of it or unconsciously doing it. And hey, to the degree that you're consciously aware to it, you will enjoy it. And you will actively take part of that, you could say, customization. You know? If you're not aware of it, that's cool. It happens. It happens and there's nothing wrong with it. But once you're more and more mindful of it, oh boy, you are enjoying each and every aspect of it. It's not, oh, you got the grade, now you get to enjoy it. Fuck that. That was always slow. Really slow. But these are some of the things that we get our subconscious used to because of those years, months, hours, accumulated hours of repetition. It's like, okay, well, I need to get the award. I need to get the achievement to feel great about my growth. Bullcrap. Complete bullcrap. Literally. You are going to go on such a faster momentum when you are able to perceive it for yourself, to become more and more mindful of your growth. It could be minute to minute, it could be day to day, it could be week to week, but you'll literally kind of get it minute per minute, in a sense, to the degree that you're aware of it. And of course, to balance this out, you don't need to. You're gonna find a balance to it. Okay, because if you force yourself to have it minute per minute, then you will literally kind of drive yourself nuts. There's a balance to it. Yet, when you become more and more aware of it and the potential growth that you have each and every minute, then you're going to take that occasion. And it's not a competitive aspect, because you then at this point realize that your own individual experience, your own unique context and nuances. Okay? Unique. Because no one's living the same life. No one has the same preferences. No one has the same perception. No one has the same pathway or journeys. Alright? Even if you are twins, you will not have the same journey. You will not have the same day. You will not have the same reflections. You will not have the same discernment. This is, I guess, another big check mark to cope with. Alright? There is no hive mind. Alright? This was one of the biggest lies to be fed with in this society. And again, there is a part of it that's kind of fostered in with movies, news, media, and even school to a certain degree. Again, the unfortunate side effects of the indoctrination station, not necessarily having a balance and efficiently being a double-edged sword. Practically like everything, but now we're coming to a point of balancing this shit out because we've seen the side effects of not balancing that shit out. So, again, it's not necessarily to throw accusation. It is basically to lay it out on the table and kind of go, hey, life could feel so much better optimizing this, okay? We could wipe out depression simply by understanding and taking so much more joy in our own individual growth without going, I gotta fight this other person, I gotta compete. Surface level language, surface level analysis of what life is, literally. And here's the funny part. This is, I guess, another big check mark to understand, is that when you see someone else's results, doesn't matter what it is, okay? You're filtering it through your lens of perception. At that point, you integrate your own variation, your own perception of it, alright? And you're integrating it to your own soup, your own toolkit, alright? Your own variation, well, your own toolkit, you're intaking the variation that you saw, that you've perceived from your own individual lens in your toolkit to then output something else that's completely new, that someone else is going to see, learn from, and then the cycle continues. It's always been cooperation, baby. Always. It's just that, again, we've been fed a different kind of dialogue. We've been fed a different perception. And again, it's not to put the let's say teachers or society in its entirety on blast. Again, you gotta press and replay that tape. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. If you're fed surface level dialogue, surface level analysis of what life is, then, well, you perceive it that way. It becomes normal. And here's the thing, even this is going to become surface level in a couple of years, because we are being more in tune with what's happening within our feelings and our thoughts. You know, it's not just one or the other. We're communicating more about these things. We are much more open to new ideas, right? Because we've understood how the subconscious works and how in tandem with emotions has kind of led us to a repression of mindsets, which is, and also a competition, and again, surface level mindset didn't necessarily help. Remember, there was a time where, and press and replay that tape when it comes to Church 1.0, women are not accepted because Eve did blah 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 blah. Then Church 2.0, okay, we're accepting women, but we're not accepting people of color because blah 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 blah. Church 3.0, okay, we're accepting people of color, but we're not accepting the gays. You see, now Church 4.0, we're accepting the gays, but not the trans. You see how there's surface level, constantly upgrading, in a sense. Meaning, it's kind of like saying, to move out of surface level, to really get into this aspect of expansion, is to understand that everyone's born the same way. No thoughts, no words, no definitions, thus no emotional or intellectual attachment to any of it. So, the habit of assumption, the habit of stereotyping people, the habit of, just generalizing people, that's surface level. And it's nonsense. Okay? So, various things that are perpetuating this behavior, this generalization behavior, keep us in surface level. I lovingly call it the indoctrination station, but this is what it has become because of the pressure, both social pressure, parental pressure, and then financial pressure to get that low grade that then turns out to be inconsequential compared to your life experience afterward. Hey, some of our geniuses, many of our geniuses, did not finish college. Some of them didn't even finish high school. Less of that very anchored and very limited pocket bubble mindset allows you to perceive the multiplicity of options, as well as not necessarily having any subconscious blockers to exploring those multiple options. That's quite big. Because if you have subconscious blockers, then it's, since we think at the speed of light. Again, think about an apple. Green apple. Boom! Seeing it in your mind. Or you can remember the taste. You can remember the smell. That fast, right? As you practice this, it becomes faster and faster and faster. If you had a hard time with that, don't worry. There's another video that I either have made or need to make about how our imagination was kind of fucked with when it comes to the overuse of devices. If I didn't make that video, hey, please share in the comment. I'll be glad to talk about that because this is something that we may need to retrain as a collective. And there's so much more to the word, that throwaway word imagination. Wow, that would be another video. I think I did a video on that. Anyhow. Still, you think at the speed of light. These imageries can pop up real fast. And you can also understand that in tandem, words, discussions will happen at light speed. Creation happens at light speed in the mind. Gets faster and faster as you practice. If you're not distracted by those also notifications, right? But if that process is hindered by hindering or limiting beliefs, okay? Oh, I can't do that because I'm that. Oh, I can't do that because the collective says that. Oh, I can't do that because society says you can't do that. Then as you're going through that process, boom, you hit a wall. There goes creation in a matter of seconds. It's not all done, but from that light speed creation, you just hit a wall. Couple of seconds might go past, even minutes, because you were in a flow. Hell, that's kind of linked up to flow state too. But in that aspect of, yeah, it's literally linked to flow state too, which is really cool to realize. But that would be making another video on flow state. There's so many interconnected dots, but imagine that as you're in flow, boom, that wall hits. That aspect of creation, that flow is just stopped. Now, this is not to put pressure on the amount of seconds, saying that you only have a short, limited amount of time. But it's just to kind of get you consciously realize that you are able to create so much in a small span of time until you are hindered by something that you are not born with but taught. See what I mean? And this goes for the collective. We were not born with these limiting beliefs, with these pocket limitations of perceptions, alright? We weren't born with that. So why in the name of fuck are we going to let those stop us? Fuck that. There's no point. It's silly. It's ridiculous. It's like saying and knowing You all have the genius potential. But because of limiting beliefs, oh, stop. Don't think even further. Don't create even further. Because John, Paul, Jane, whoever celebrity or media, news station, or school institution teacher says that you can't think about that, and that. Or that you can even consider this, and that. Don't even dare to look at other places around the world to feed your mental toolbox. Nah, the West is the only way. It's fucking silly. It's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. You just kind of have to get into that aspect of just making fun of it. And this is where we get playful. This is the playful shift part of the video. We gotta get playful about this. See how silly it is, okay? Don't blame yourself. Don't blame the other person for those limiting beliefs, okay? Again, the indoctrination was strong. And collectively, we didn't necessarily know what we were throwing up on people. Yo, I would go back on some of my early videos on this channel and my other gaming channel just to see how indoctrinated I was. And I'm still removing some of those layers. I love the support, by the way. Thank you for everyone who's kind of pointed out things, either in private messages or in the comments or just talking to me. And it's like, ooh, I didn't pick up on that. Wow, that shit was subconscious. You know, sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes it is tricky to spot these things. And it's all about the way that you approach it, okay? That you bring it up. And there's some interesting nuances to it. But as long as we're able to kind of lay it up on the floor without being judgmental towards each other and just kind of get this aspect that we weren't born with these things. They're just blasted onto us day after day after day, minute after minute after minute from movies, TVs, or whatever fiction that we take. That could even be video games. At some points, the subconscious is like, oh yeah, that's normal. Expressing this way is normal. Perceiving this way is normal. Creating this way is normal. But then, once you kind of scroll back and you kind of go, oh wait, that's kind of limiting. Oh, silly. It becomes playful. You know, you kind of go and get, I know, press and replay that tape. Would you consciously choose these limiting beliefs? Knowing that it would impact you a couple of years later in this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. Fuck no. So you're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. And same goes for the people who taught it to you. Would they consciously choose to teach you limiting belief, knowing that it would stop your progression in life in this way and this way and this way? Of course not. We don't want to limit each other. Oftentimes it's, okay, this is what I know best, so I want to give you what I know best. Oftentimes it is brought up in forceful ways. Hashtag Caribbean parents. I'm gonna keep on picking on that, but I know that there's multiple other cultures that have that same issue. So let's be playful about this. Still, oftentimes it's not necessarily perceived. So when you get that, you just want to make fun of it. You just want to see how silly it is. And after that, you can just go, alright, well, time to take off the weighted clothes. Just take on the baggages. Take off the baggages and just kind of go, alright, well, let's go Ultra Instinct. Let's just let the flowing thoughts. Let's just let all the creation thought flow. And come up with new options. And never compare, never compete. Waste of fucking time. Again, different nuances, subtlety, and preferences in life between many people. It's all co-op, baby. It's all about, okay, I see what you've done there. I can find a couple of ways to expand it. Does it still match you? Or does it match a different set of people that would prefer it with this variation? It's not, oh, I took your shit and I'm making it better. No, because if I didn't see it in the first place, I couldn't expand it and create this new thing from my own perception lens, which is my own filtered interpretation of what you have brought out. Thus, thank you for showing me. I'm giving it different variations to others. And it wouldn't have been possible without you showing me your unique variation, which you have been taught from others. All co-op, baby. We weren't born with any of it. It gets logical when you take the time to think about it. But if I do not even allow you time to think, I give you those devices. I give you those devices with the devices, with all the notification, the constant comparison with other people's that you will never even encounter in your life. I give you distraction with the movies, the video games, the TV series that you can now binge watch. That McDonald of mentalities, or the McDonald of the mind. Day after day after day, minute after minute after minute. Well then, it's going to be pretty hard to think about these things, right? Tricky. And then you got to wrestle the dopamine habits that these devices and these habits have perpetuated. It's going to be a bit tricky, right? But you can still do it. You got this. It's already done. Just call it. Call it. Pull a Muhammad Ali and just call it. It's already done. You've got it figured out. All right? Even if it's going to require you seeing this day after day after day after day. Call it. Welcome to quantum physics, baby. You call it, you're already setting it up in motion. Fuck yeah, try it. Give it a shot. See, that's the thing. Because of the mental indoctrination, some people won't even fucking try it. They won't even start journaling. They won't even keep a notebook to try this kind of stuff. Affirmations, or just writing it out, or making a list of things that they want to change in their behavior. This is why I always kind of call it the indoctrination station, because subconsciously, you don't want to be wrong. You don't want people to laugh at you. You don't want to be disappointed, which is just a behavior that you've been taught, indoctrinated with. But it's not real. Because basically disappointment was learned from another person's perspective, which again they've been indoctrinated with. Meaning, you wouldn't even have that in your vocabulary. You wouldn't even have that in your system if it wasn't for another person that would see your progression, your individual and unique progression, as a reflection of them. Which is one of the weirdest ass societal noose that we've been kind of keeping. It's like saying, okay, let's take an example. And this is something I had to wrestle with for a certain amount of months, possibly years. You not necessarily understanding this concept in this video is a reflection of my failure. I should feel bad. I haven't taught you well enough. I wasn't able to hold your hand through all of this. I have no honor. Oh, fuck. Madness. Insanity. Complete insanity. Because that's like expecting you to completely understand the entirety of the context that I've lived through to get to this point of understanding in an instant. In a matter of 40 minutes. It's going to be 40 minutes in a couple of seconds. I'm calling it. I can see it, so don't worry. Madness. Nor should you feel ashamed for not getting a majority of what's being said here. Fuck no. Like, that was the system that we were kind of brought into which again is completely contradictory to how we learn how to walk. See, if we were to fall and have our parents go, "What the fuck are you doing? Wow, you suck, toddler! What's wrong with you? You didn't get this the first time? Ugh! I should return this baby from where it was delivered. Give me a receipt. I got the receipt. The birth certificate." Lunacy, right? But this is how we are taught to learn. And also to teach. On a collective. Hey, it's changing. Fuck yeah, it's changing. Alternative schools, direct coaching, homeschooling. It's all changing. This video is just to kind of fast track this momentum. And also to tell people, you weren't wrong for feeling like shit when flowing in a system like that. Fuck that. But it's also to bring balance, not to condemn and feel hatred towards the people that were in this system. Again, they didn't know what they didn't know. And the same kind of goes to you. You didn't know what you didn't know for ingesting that stuff. And then, at times, guilty, indirectly perpetuating it. Whether it's in how you explain certain things or how you react to certain results, it happens. Alright? Subconscious indoctrination is a bitch. Programming's a bitch. You could even say neurolinguistic programming is a bitch. But we're figuring it out collectively. And this is where we're playing co-op, baby, to the 10th degree. We ain't letting that slide anymore. And we're being playful about it. It's not going to be like, "Hey! You're cancelled! Because you did this! And I feel like shit." No, doesn't work. It's putting fault on the other for subconscious programming, which they didn't necessarily choose. Fuck that. Cancel culture never worked. We've seen the various iterations of it, and it always puts fault on the creator, the content creator, whether it be teacher or artist or blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. The blame game, like in a video I made a couple of months ago, maybe even last year or 2 years ago, the blame game doesn't work. It's all about co-op. Getting to this point of understanding. And yes, if there are certain people that are so anchored in their way and they're like, "No! I seriously refuse to!" You let them be. Live and let live. Programming's a bitch. Sometimes you've had enough of that mental whipping that, Stockholm Syndrome just kind of keeps you in that way of thinking. It happens. Some of this stuff is tricky, really tricky to deprogram. And some will just stay and, like said in other videos, they'll just fall off that cliff. It happens. We got to come to terms to that. Not push them off the cliff, but we got to come to terms with that. Still keep in mind the possible best version of them, but not need it. Still kind of be supportive, but if it's clear, then distance. While keeping in mind, hey, it'd be fun to have them change. Yet you don't necessarily need to keep them in mind all day, all week long. You see, there's nuances. It's not just this or that. It's multiple nuances at the same time. And this is where we get into complexity of thinking, right? Take it a day at a time because, again, just like the speed of light thinking that we have and that potential that we have to make it go faster and faster and faster, with the thinking faster comes the faster processing of those multiple nuances. The faster awareness and processing of those multiple nuances in various subjects of our human beingness. Tricky. I say tricky because if you say, "It's hard," then guess what? Your subconscious is going to be, "Oh, it's hard. Okay, well, we'll make it hard." Yay! Subconscious does not make the difference. It'll just take your command like a computer and just kind of go, alright, it's going to be hard. Yep, you want to make it harder? Let's make it harder. That's why I think I made a video about watch what you say. Because, again, you're implanting command in that subconscious. But if you say, yo, it's getting easier and easier. It's getting faster and faster. I'm getting more and more mindful of this. Every day I'm perceiving new nuances, and it's getting easier to manage them. As well as to understand where I got those from, and how I'm managing this with much more ease, and how I'm sharing this with certain other people. Not the whole wide world. Remember, getting up to 8 billion, so that's 8 billion different types of mindset nuances and differences out there. There is no hive mind. So, again, take that time, collect from multiple sources, connect the dots, and make your own experiments. Journal. Fucking write it down. Play with that. See what works best for you. And then share that variation, because you're going to connect to other bubbles of similar mindsets. Okay? Not as an absolute, just here's another possibility in that vast ocean of perception. And again, it matters. Your input fucking matters. Because, hey, who the fuck knows? Somebody in another part of the country or part of the world may hear your own experience, connect with a part of it, and then have, oh shit, now I get it! Wow! Again, more power than the Pharaoh, baby. We're all connected and interconnecting through that. We just have to balance that and get a bit less of that dopamine addiction. So, you guys got this. It's already said and done. You just kind of have to play and be playful about it. Not this school mentality with all this pressure. If there's any questions, feel free to put it in a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Okay, I always make that joke outside of the camera. Hey, if you like it, just like it, subscribe. All right, do whatever you want, but take the time to reflect. All right, and also want to give a big shout out to those who liked and subscribed. Thank you, guys. Great discussions in the direct messages. Also, mega ass thank you for those who supported through PayPal with the donation link on the link tree, but also PayPal romdomerson.gmail or at gmail.com. So thank you for those who kind of donated. Those donations either come from the podcast or from you guys. So thank you for that. It's been fucking awesome. And again, sharing my own personal dot connections from the various materials, just browse through outside and the experiments done on my own. I'm deciding to kind of go overdrive with this nowadays, so it's not going to take too long before making videos on another subject. I'll also be a tad bit more active on the TikTok. It's just, I got to clear my own personal shit, but those could also make great video subjects, so just and yeah, open the discussions. Yeah, just open the discussion. Let's talk. Let's be playful with this, alright? So, have a ball. Make it fun for yourself. Ask yourself those key questions. What would be easier for me? What would make it more fun? What would make it easier? What's my own preferred schedule? What's my own preferred flow? And then, listen to your intuition. You'll find the answer. It'll be quite fun. So, thank you guys. Let's keep on playing. Play the game.